gentlemen, welcome to CHI, your host Odysseus. Oscar bait is not confined to just one genre. Science fiction, fantasy, horror, superheroes. But if you ask me what could solely be called Oscar bait, it would have to be the war dramas. There are more Oscar bait movies focused on war than days I have been alive, the vast majority of which focused on World War II. So to start down this rabbit hole of guys crying over a dead body, let's take a look at the 1943 classic, Gung Ho. Oh, I'm sorry, the title is Gung Ho, the story of Carlson's Makin Island Raiders. Funny thing about that extra title, there is no Carlson. Because the filmmakers were told by their military liaison that they couldn't use that name, so he'll be played by a Colonel Thorwald. So why have that extra title if you couldn't use the name? Like most older movies, there's multiple names per slide, which I like because it puts all the names in the beginning and doesn't pepper it throughout the opening, being all obtrusive. Alright, what do we got here? This is a factual record, Marine Raiders, names changed, protecting the innocent, blah blah blah. First brilliant victory. A brilliant victory that was mostly fabricated, as in the actual events of the battle were completely made up for this movie. Even more of a reason why you shouldn't have that extra title. So we start the movie proper with an officer calling for volunteers for a special unit.
Before you can be selected for this Raider battalion, I must ask you a few questions. Why do you want to kill Japs?
Okay, I won't say anything about the racist slang because it was the 1940s and it's pretty much unavoidable. However, that is a really simplistic question. Almost belligerently so. Why do you want to kill people? I'm an engineer. You're here to stab people in the throat. I think I had the wrong office. Actually, this conversation takes a different direction.
When you'll have to sneak up on a man and kill him with a knife. Could you do that?
Lieutenant, I'd done it. A bunch of them Sheffield boys from Breathitt County found out I was sparking one of their gals. I snuck out, and in the dark,
That's all right, Tedro.
So this man just admitted that he killed a fellow American citizen. Of course they're gonna recruit him! Jeez, 1940s, I knew you let a lot of stuff fly by, but murder? What if the guy burned down an orphanage? Give him a fruitcake? So we fade to another recruitment officer and, wait, is that Haas from Bonanza? Anyway, this guy wants to serve as a chaplain, but he's turned down to become a fighter.
I'm sorry, Mac. We got our chaplains. What we want now is killers.
The next scene is half decent, with an officer and a young man relating to each other by both having a hard life of washing dishes on the same boat to America. That's a rather odd thing to have a coincidence over. We then cut to Randolph Scott! Damn it, Scott, what are you doing here? You're better than this! You were in the Desperados! Okay. For all those that don't know, George Randolph Scott was one of the first leading mans of cinema, with the same career path as John Wayne, with a lot of westerns and war movies. Here he's playing Thorwald, who fought in the Second Sino-Chinese War and wants to apply some of their methods to this new unit.
They believed in what they were fighting for, because every man had only one desire, to do his duty. Well, I learned a lot of things that are not in textbooks, and I came back to the States to tell about them. Then Pearl Harbor, and here we go again.
I don't ask for nothing better, sir.
And that new method is high morale. You'd think they would already know that. We then cut back to recruitment with two guys arguing over who was next in line. Gentlemen, the recruitment for kindergartners is just down the hall.
Give me them papers. Hey, there's the same name on both of these. No, where it says next of kin, it's the same. It says next of kin, Mrs. Molly Richter, mother. Mrs. Molly Richter, mother. How come?
They're brothers? Do you not know what a brother is, Haas? 'Cause you got like two of them. So these guys want to impress a girl that they're both fighting over by going to war. So in order to impress the girl, they join the Marines, which is a unit known for having high casualties. This sounds very counterproductive. And this girl, by the way, Haas knew as a baby. What is with these odd coincidences that don't lead to anything?
That's all.
Except this dope joined the Marines to make a hit with her.
Well, that's a lie.
Why,
Hey,
no,
pipe down, the both of you.
These guys are kindergartners. I mean, what adult would attack another person for being called a mean name? So Scott is interviewing one guy who was a boxer named
Pig Iron, sir. I was middleweight champion of East New Jersey once.
Pig Iron. Pig Iron. There's a joke in there somewhere. Montage time!
Just why did you volunteer for this Raider battalion?
My brother died at Pearl Harbor. They didn't find enough of them to bury.
Okay, I don't mean to laugh, but that just sounds so melodramatic. I mean, like, a line like that deserves to be in a soap opera somewhere.
Why do you want to sign up?
I just don't like Japs.
A bold and daring reason, if any.
I just don't like Japs.
The conjecture, the delivery, it's Shakespearean. So Scott checks out the newly formed Corps.
Sit down, boys, and make yourselves comfortable. The smoking lamp is lit.
Officers will be handing out snack bags, only one cookie each. So what's Scott's plan?
You are to receive a course of training unique in the history of the Marine Corps. If you justify the effort to be spent on you, you may be able to point the way in which this tremendously difficult war in the Pacific can be won. Briefly, it can be won by teamwork. To carry you through the rough spots before you, teamwork is needed. You'll have to help each other.
Of course, because no military force in American history has ever used teamwork. Also, that's what Gung Ho means, working together, or working harmony. I mean, teamwork isn't a bad idea, it's just this movie takes so much pride in it, like it's such a revolutionary idea.
Pearl Harbor is history now, 2 months. From 15,000...
Hi, narrator. Why are you here? Well, it's montage time, and with stock footage nonetheless. And even though this movie was talking about how important it is to work together, this montage is only about how each individual soldier is getting better.
If we trip or fall, our bodies are trained to respond instantly. A raider is never out of firing position, nor is he ever relaxed. He's always on the alert for sudden attack from any quarter.
The very next scene in the movie contradicts the freaking title.
Now, men, I want no falling out. And if you do fall out, you fall right out of this battalion.
Oh, you fall out of the run, you fall out of the battalion? Sounds like there's a lot of risk there.
Larry, what's the matter? What's the matter?
Sudden pain. I guess I'll be all right.
Report to sick bay.
Yes, sir.
Forget about that. It's all about the chicks. So, Cheetah Brother is dancing with... until other brother from the same mother shows up.
You come on in.
You're looking prettier than
Guys, you left the door open. Is anybody gonna get that?
Hey, remember me? I'm still here.
Don't remind us. We're trying to forget it.
Hey, what about me? Did she send me
Huh.
one too?
Two muscular men fighting for the attention of a flighty, characterless woman. This is clearly a ripoff of John Cocteau's Beauty and the Beast. So before they're shipped out to, you know, the plot, they have some time to get some grub.
What'll you have?
We'd like a couple of hamburgers, please.
So would I. Don't you know this is Meatless Tuesday? And we got Meatless Tuesday just so the guys in the Army and Navy can have all the meat they want. So what happened? On Meatless Tuesday, the Army and Navy come in here and ask for hamburgers. I don't get it.
Well, if you're so upset about it, just put a sign outside about Meatless Tuesday so you don't have this problem.
Well, this isn't exactly the sort of place I had in mind. I planned a more romantic kind of spot. You know, like you see in the movies.
Well, if this movie's any indication, this is.
One with a moon and trees and stars.
Oh, so a cliched one. But this saucy rendezvous is interrupted by Cheetah Brother, which doesn't bode well.
Break it up,
What are you gonna have?
A hamburger.
Hamburger. See what I mean? This is Meatless Tuesday. I can't understand it.
Because if it wasn't funny the first time, we'll repeat it! So they make it to the bus, and...
Goodbye, Kurt. Take care of yourself. Goodbye, Larry.
Jeez, lady! Do you not know these guys are fighting over you? Because this is just gonna make it worse. So the Raiders hop on a boat that stops by Pearl Harbor, which would be a strong scene if it didn't have the narrator.
There they are, the Arizona with her masts and torn bridge thrusting out of the water, the rusty hull of the capsized Oklahoma. There are men in the 2nd Raider Battalion who lost brothers on those ships.
Honestly, all of his lines could easily be said by any of the actors.
After 3 more months of intensive training...
Yes, 3 months of more training that we don't get to see. Good, bad, up to you. So the men board a submarine to go to the titular Macon Island and things get suspenseful. So we then get a scene where a medic talks about how to best stab a man.
The main thing is force, plenty of force. You know, it takes a surgeon to realize how tough the human body is, so when you hit a man, give it all you've got.
Now this would be a good scene if it was done earlier, like during their training. Otherwise it just makes these guys look forgetful or they just weren't told.
All right, men, now.
Yay, it's Haas's birthday!
Happy birthday to
Haas. 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 Also, shouldn't they be worried about having so many candles lit in a submarine with limited oxygen? Whatever.
After studying your maps, you probably notice a lot of things that are very familiar to you. Now, what do you recognize?
I recognize the beach we land on every night at Honolulu. Same shape.
There's the building we blew up every night and built again the next day. Smart government house here.
And there's a radio station, just where we had it. Now, we laid out Macon Island exactly as it is. And you've been rehearsing for the things you have to do. Although you don't know it, from the very beginning, you men have been training for this raid.
Whoa, wait. So you've been saying that all this training has been perfectly crafted for this one raid? To the point that they've been rehearsing it? That's like taking a test that gives you all the answers. And yeah, it probably means it'll go great with minimum casualties, but what about for other raids? They're gonna be unprepared for them because they're used to all this hand-holding. Expanding on that test simile, it's like taking that test that gives you all the answers, and then the teacher handing you yet another test with questions you have no idea about. After this raid, this unit's gonna be practically useless. Great plan, Carlson! Thorwald? Whatever. So the trip is going smoothly until...
Sir, we've just picked up some radio telephone messages. Japanese.
Get the men down and keep them below until further orders. Clear the deck. Wait a minute. There's one missing.
Rude. Well, this movie got dark pretty quickly.
Is there anything we can do, Captain?
Battle stations, surface.
Great idea, Captain. Let's endanger the entire crew and the whole unit. So they pull him back in, but get spotted by the planes. You won't be sinking my battleship. The planes then fly off. So the planes are gonna relay a message to the neighboring ships, tell them to like patrol the area or like lay out some mines or something. Nope, they make it to the island with no further trouble. So why have that scene if it wasn't gonna lead to anything?
In an hour or two from now...
God, not this again. Also, is it just me or does he keep changing perspective?
Ground swells toss the rubber boats about and we have trouble jumping into them. But one by one they're loaded and we shove off.
Pick first person or third person narrator because you can't do both.
Our enemies, Japs, are watching us right now. They must be. Why don't they start shooting?
I don't know. Why are you asking me? Couldn't any of the actors say these lines? any of them at all. So they make it to the beach, and about 50 minutes into this hour-and-a-half movie, we finally get some action. Ah, the Japanese trees are growing pretty ripe this year. I'll talk about that later. So the battle is underway, starting with shooting at trees. Gardening was pretty violent in the 1940s.
Alright, you guys know what we have to do?
Alright, Marines, this is the moment we've all been waiting for. Now what's the plan? Run right at it. Did these guys receive any training? That's a lot of ground to cover. You sure you don't want to give this a second thought? I guess he won't be having that second thought. Don't worry, he's still alive, but...
I just wanted to say that was all malarkey about Kathleen and me. Yeah. I always tried to make you think she cared for me.
You're in the middle of a battle and your comrade is shot and bleeding to death. Another time, please! So Cheetah Brother gets shot and Other Brother pulls him back, and how he's able to do that without getting shot himself is up to the writer getting himself into a corner. Then one guy starts stripping.
Hey, Frankie, what you doing?
I used to run the 100-yard dash in 10 seconds flat with the tallest AC at Greenpoint, but not dressed like this.
Then why didn't you just join a sports team? Whatever, he blows up the gun and... What? Where were these guys the whole time when they needed help on that gun? On a smoke break? Also, take a look at Other Brother's reaction to Cheetah Brother's death. I guess that's the best reaction you can get out of someone who hated his guts. So the Marines take a building and gather up their wounded. Oh my god, he isn't dead! Japanese soldier zombies! Don't worry, Pig Iron has this with a knife throw to the back. You idiot, aim for the head! Guess I know who hasn't read their zombie survival guide. So the Marines make their way to another Japanese encampment, but Zeros are on the way, which means they need to knock out that radio tower. And they need to do that soon because the Japanese forces are mobilizing. But the Marines have more important things to do, like painting a roof. Couldn't they at least bring a flag along so they could just nail it to the building?
Do that, you knuckleheads! Meanwhile, get this job done before them little sons of...
Whoa, whoa! Language, language!
...of the rising sun...
Phew, good. Gotta keep up that G rating. So the battle is at a standstill, so the Marines need a plan.
Hey, what are you doing here? Why ain't you with your outfit?
The boys are stuck at the radio station.
So what?
So good old Dubuque here is carrying us over for a touchdown.
I got you, Kazarowski.
Of course! They'll pave a road at them! Also, carrying us to a touchdown? I haven't heard language like that outside of sports bars. Apparently this movie's the origin of bro speak. So they use the steamroller to push over one building and get killed in the process. Best and the brightest, ladies and gentlemen. So even though that building was the radio tower, the enemy planes come anyway. So despite the battle going pretty good, Thorwald orders a retreat.
No enemy with you. Command post moving, rendezvous A.
Oh, so this movie's really an adventure in the countryside, right? Seriously, that music cue wouldn't be out of place in Old Yeller.
Water. Water.
Movie! You astound me with how you show the war to be such a morally gray subject. So they continue their retreat as the Zeros fly in, and the Japanese retake the building, which leads to them getting bombed by their own planes. Now that's not a bad plan in theory, you just gotta hope that none of the pilots actually see what they're shooting at. Speaking of which, take a look at this one pilot. I'm convinced that they did not hire an actor, but a serial killer. Because that is the face of utter glee. So the battle is pretty much won, with a number of soldiers surrendering.
Did you get him, Rube?
I got him.
Ugh, could you feel my chest? I'm feeling kind of pudgy there. So they gather up their wounded, and after another narrator bit, blow up the rest of the island and leave on the submarine. And that's it. So let's talk logistics. Gung Ho had a budget of over $800,000, but after inflation that makes that about $12 million, and had a box office of over $2 million, which makes that about $30 million, with a profit of $18 million after inflation. I say this because nearly every other war movie ever made has the same plot as Gung Ho! It's amazing how many other movies I kept thinking about while watching this. A bunch of losers brought together by a strong central leader who's a high-built actor go and kill some people, the end. It goes to show with just a simplistic formula and a little bit of patriotism, you can make a ridiculous amount of profit. But let's get into the real problem with this movie. How it represents the deaths of soldiers. First and foremost, I have nothing but the utmost respect for our armed forces, past and present. They are heroes in their own right, and they deserve much more than they get. And I understand that we need to give respect to our soldiers, especially in our movies, but this is not how it should be done. This is overly simplified, sugar-coated, and exploitative to the nth degree. I find this to be nothing more but disrespectful to the soldiers using their deaths as propaganda. Hey, men of the 1940s, if you recruit, you too can die as heroically as this. It would be more respectful if they represented their deaths realistically. In World War II, people died by the thousands, bodies would go missing, and a lot of soldiers would never get their chance at heroism on the battlefield. But yet in Gung Ho, they not only die heroically, but they also get petty revenge, which is just silly. In conclusion, I found the great-granddaddy of all modern war films. And it just leaves me sad and disappointed.